Beautiful ignited souls, we are ready for a new creation. Beautiful ignited souls, I am Crime Queen. So, in case you're joining us for the first time, I'm Crime Queen, your partner in crime, and of course, the crime is about self love. Now, we say it's about self love because we have been in a world where the opposite might have seemed true, and now we are awakening because you could call it reverse psychology, whatever it is. But now we are perhaps doing like Michael Jackson thing, I'm bad, and so we are saying we are now committing a crime of self love, self-full love to be precise, making sure that we are, rejuvenated, refreshed, replenished, and all of those things. Actually, replenishment is one of the first five gifts that we were given, or the first set of gifts that we were given to replenish. Okay. So I have a list of notes here this time. I think this is more than I've ever written because I want to do a comparison between Christ and Brother Polight. Now you may think that this is really far-fetched, but I had to have some kind of coherence in this. So but I was about to say that while I was preparing this, I could see like a domino game. Like if you know how dominoes are played, I even had to check, is it six or seven dominoes that each party holds, in the game, in the start of the game. So, and I believe it is seven dominoes, but I saw six, but I think we play with seven. But whatever it is, it's again about all these subtle ways that we have been taught to fight against each other. It may seem in a playful way, but we need to raise our consciousness about this and know that it's a game, or it's the game of life that it's a game we are playing. But these messages are in subtle ways. Okay, so I think there's a video on Francis Cress or Cress. She gives all the wonderful analogies, if you like, of how we have been conditioned to fight against each other, especially when it comes to black and white, which is another video I am so looking forward to doing. Although I have done what I consider to be some brilliant videos on the subject, black and white in relation to the master number 11. So do bear with me if it sounds like I am rushing a little, because I want to put all this context into this presentation, and of course have it in a way that I do not have, that it's easier for me to upload basically, and so on. So we're going to do this, and before I continue with the numerology, which I want to show the figures. For those of you who may not know of Brother Polight, but I'm sure you have heard of Jesus Christ, so I won't go too much into Jesus Christ, because Jesus is revered in Christianity, is seen as the Father, the Son of the the Father, the begotten Father, and so on. Or some says the Son of God, some says God, and so on. So we are going to speak of Brother Polight, who's known as Brother Polight, but his real name has become more known since the alleged case of sexual abuse with a 14 minor, which is a female. Now, we have made correlations to show that the number 14 equals Eve, as in the Garden of Eden, the creation. Now, I did once look at the meaning of Eve, and it is that the what exists before any event takes place. So if you had a wedding, it is the eve of the wedding, it's the eve of the night, it's the eve, basically, that is, so everything, it's the bedrock or the foundation, if you like. So here we have, for instance, Eve equals 5. So for instance, a home is 5, and everything happens in a home. You could say house equals 5. You could see what happens in a house. So it is the foundation of all the activities that you perform in your house or you do in your house or home. Likewise, the pyramid, which of course is very symbolic of Christ as the Father, Creator, or whatever it is, always there to give us or to teach us. As we have seen, so many archaeologists and all theologists and all the GCs are really wanting to understand the pyramid and what its purpose, how it was built, and so on. So the mystery about this pyramid, which equals five, that tells us that five really entails everything. And this is why the word Christ also equals five. So I'm just giving some information here on the correlation. Of course, I have a list of words that equals five, which I'll put up as well. But it gives you an idea, and I didn't have to think really hard for these. So number five, we have key, which is really key. We have lock, shut. So basically, number five is the key that lets you in, it lets you out. You need to know which side of the door you're on, or so to speak. We have Christ, we have mouth, we have king, king rules, of course. We have bat, which is able to see in the night. So a key, just like it was going through the lock, the hole, which is dark. So basically, that's what five is. Five represents both light and dark, you could say. Okay, so we have godliness, we have double, vine, motion, sweat, by the sweat of thy brow. This is what is important for us to understand the scriptures through numerology. Numerology gives us that insight because it means like without that you think, oh, you should be in the field and really slaving yourself really hard, but through numerology to see by the sweat of thy brow, and knowing that sweat is actually a substance that contains all of your energies. It's through the thought that you had put into the sweat or before, or how you organize what you was going to do, the thought that preceded that, the orchestration of how you were going to do things, the singing and whistling that you're doing while you were sweating, all of those things, which of course you can think of all the different ways that you can sweat in pleasurable ways as well. So there we go. We breathe equals five. Of course, wind, kindness, guide, power equals five. Omega, I am the beginning and the ending. Omega, universe, that tells us everything. Universe equals five. Sophia, as in the matrix, equals five. Anchor, when you anchor on something like a boat or whatever, is know that to do thyself, for instance, equals five. Buddha equals five. Wednesday, pink, men, ram, I am that I am, the I am. Life equals five. Finger, I created the world with my finger. Wrong equals five. I think wrong might be wrong and is eight, but okay, but it might be equals five because no one sees wrong as right or five. Okay, end equals five. Move, make joy. Kundalini, of course, when Christ told Luke to find a man with the pitcher of water. Water, of course, is that which we can modify in all different kinds of ways. It's tepid, it's warm, it's cold, it's ice, it's block. We set it to whatever shape you want. It melts through your tears, you cry, you sing, you bathe, whatever. Water. So he said, find a man with a pitcher of water. Tell him to take it to the high chambers or whatever it was. So the chamber as well, like your brain is showing two chambers. So we have all these Kundalini, USA, and so on, void and mind and open and close. All those things, I didn't just decide I'm going to look at some beautiful words to show five. They were just showing up as five and I was just noting them down. Okay, unless I was just thinking all positively, unconsciously. So we are now, this is what we have, 1111 on here, which is 1129 when I said that, which I may have to change things because I notice sometimes I say, oh, that's something on the clock. And then, of course, if I edit something off, it may seem like I have just said the wrong thing. Okay, so about Brother Polight, he speaks 7 languages. Now, of course, that is really bright. Seven as language was given to us as the gift of creation. Language constitute letters and numbers. Now, if we look at the word letter, Letter, S. Of course, we must have S letters. So we are speaking of this number 7 is very sacred. That's the gift of language. Language, I believe, is of 8 letters, which is set in that way as well. So we have 26 letters and 26 letters and 9 numbers. So we have the characters of 35, which forms 35 characters or symbols as our language. So that may come universally in some kind of way, or like in Judaism as well. And so, but he speaks 7 languages. He is a mentor of, as far I have seen a photo with him and my man Denzel Washington. Oh my, okay. I mean, some people just know how to just do the chat thing. I've got to watch this guy and see how he does it. Okay, all right. So, but we are looking at numerology, and on Brother Polight, whose real name is Michael Noak. We are going to use Michael Noak now, although I have done both names, of course, because he's that bright as well. I feel he might have done this intuitively, because his birth date, the day 10, is one of the most intuitive numbers. He has a lot of 11s, so I would think that he did this very intuitively, that Brother Polight came like in a polite way as a name that he should embark on. And maybe it's the way that he would have gotten to relate to the essence of who he is, and not like Michael Noak, because Michael is kind of really heavy in a sense that is 33, just like, of course, Jesus, which we are going to compare the two. Michael equals 33. Now, Michael has a meaning or represents a warrior, a real warrior, because Michael was one of the archangels sent to deal with Lucifer, or one of the fallen angels. So, definitely, and still is like able to go to the depth of hell and rise to halfway up heaven again, or perhaps all the way to heaven. I'm not quite sure. But Michael, who's got 7 letters to the name as well, coinciding with 7. Now, while I am saying this, also to draw on the word or the name Jesus Christ, or the 2 words, also has 7 as the numerical value. So I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna get to do the numerology as I want to, because I'm hoping to keep this short. Okay, so let's see how we are going to do this. Yeah. So yeah, he's a polygamist, meaning has several wives, 4 wives. Now, if we are just, while I'm saying this, I will also draw on, well, Jesus was not said to be married, but however, we saw that there was almost like an argument with the woman, Mary Magdalene, or one of them pouring the most precious oil on his feet, and another saying, you shouldn't do that. And while she dries and wipes his feet with Jesus's feet with her hair, if I remember well. So that is saying there is, they both relish in grandeur, or, that kind of extravagance. So, and Jesus did say, oh, just leave her alone, I may not be here for another time or whatever, and so on, because everything was talking, or into the crucifixion or the sacrifice. So we would see that they both had extravagant taste in that way. Another thing, like you find, like some people, there's another correlation they have, or connection. It's like some people have really given Michael Noak, I'm going to say MN. I just feel the reverberation of the name MN. Excuse me, but that's what I'm going to do, because I just feel it's the amount of energy, and I have been learning a little bit about spiritual pimping. So there's where I am. Okay, so of course, because I'm using this for teaching purposes, but I'm also conscious about my level of indulgence. So, Michael Noak, okay, is that okay? MN has been sort of questioned about his taste in women, and how they dress and so on. But you could see the same thing, like was with Jesus Christ as well, as I have just mentioned. Magdalene, I think it was seen as not really up to class, or to whatever. Some say it was the same prostitutes that some people were warning him against, and so on. And remember, of course, he rescued, I don't know if it's the same woman, but he rescued the woman. One time he was talking to a woman at a well. The word well, of course, will tell you everything, that everything went well. And she had how many husbands, so you could see he knew how many husbands she had, and so on. And so it's like she had, you could say, more like a polygamous relationship, although whether seen as a prostitute or polygamous. And likewise, we see that there is a kind of connection with MN. So the MN connection here as well is that, of course, they both are very spiritual. I've just listened to MN talking about how he used to pray for 30, or meditate for 30 minutes. The number 30, of course, or 3, is very prominent in the story of Christ. Of course, 30 pieces of silver to begin with, or the cock would crow 3 times just before being crucified, and so on. So there are other correlations again with MN, yes, he's 38 years of age. I'm putting this into numerology, equals 11. Of course, 11 is 2 as well. So let's go back to, just going back and forth, because I am a little bit like the serpent myself, in the sense of going in and out, just moving here and there. So just stick with me here. And so we had, yeah, so they both have this kind of relationship with seeming like strange women, the kind of women that Proverbs often speaks to. My son, be mindful if you see her in the street. She wears the kind of perfume that will, that will lead you into the wrong way, and things like that. So I did watch a bit of Brother Polight on the breakfast show, where he does really express that he loves the women in high heels and fishnets. High heels. Christ was always on a heel. Okay, all right. I hope you get it. So Christ was always on a hill preaching. All right, but he was always there was always something about being by the sea, casting nets. That's how he got the disciples. Come, he says, I will show you how to be fishers of men. You are just casting, and you're not getting any fish. Come on, I know how to do this. Just follow me. I will make you fishers of men. And I will not just make you a fisher, meaning I will teach you in a way that you can teach others as well. So by him recruiting even one or two, he knows that he's recruited the world because he was a visionary, just like MN. MN is a visionary. You could see all his lines of businesses. He's very charismatic, very intelligent and educated. I have to make the difference here because one is like really okay. I think intelligent and educated. Intelligent is where you're supposed to be using your head or something. Educated is where you probably have learned through the academia. So if I'm wrong, put your notes below. By the way, please like and subscribe to Crime Queen here because this is where we teach things that you don't get on any other YouTube channel. No other YouTube channel. If you do find anything like this where I'm speaking specifically about the 14 gods, let me know. Okay, well, on the perspective of Christianity. Okay, or tell all the pastors about this. Have you heard about this woman on YouTube who claims to know about the 14 gods that you guys have not revealed to us? It's time you do. Okay, so, yeah. So, of course, at the age of 38, or 37, when that happened, I was with BP. 37 is like the number of perfection. Don't know. I feel there's just some major changes are happening. Everything's turned upside down, and it's just major changes. The number 14. It's Mother Eve is really saying it's time to come home. Let me give you a big smack on your butt for misbehaving. Time to come home. Okay, so yeah, and of course there now, yes, I've got something here. I've got 59 verses from 18 books or something. I'm not quite sure what I've got here. Now, let's do this in as we go along so I don't do too much of the dancing. So we have known that Jesus equals 11 and Michael Noak, of course, equals 11. However, Jesus Christ equals the two together equals, why have I got equals 7? Because Christ is 5, Jesus is 11. So that would be 11, that would be 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. I know you'd like to see this, but let me, because I feel I may have to just do another video to do the numbers on here. Okay, so we have again, so Brother Polight again with this Michael that I said Michael equals 33. 33 is like Genesis. Genesis equals 33. People, when Christ says believe, person, policeman, and there were some other words that I just happened to have come across that equals 33. 33 is like a number 8 that's broken in half, and they like just broken and they following each other to create havoc basically till they find themselves broken or whatever and being paired up facing each other again, and they create a set. So the word set equals 8, but you could imagine 33 is like a broken 8, and that's why they ate. That's the broken 8. So okay, so this is symbolic of Genesis, which is the creation, two creations. Two creations. Of course, we speak a lot about the number 14. Now, yes, so Noach actually equals 14. That's 11, 12. Noach actually equals 14. So you can see the connection with the alleged minor, that with the sexual. So every time we connect with someone, there is a numerical value on something that we have connected with this person. Okay, and so we have covered that. He's got 11 numerical value, and his soul urge number, for instance, is 4. So that means that he is all about stability. He is very occupied with material, comfort, home, wealth, family, and so on. Now, of course, that comes via the number 13. So there is a death, which is the death he is facing now, you could say. Now, as Michael equals 33, and of course, there are other inferences that governs that event. So we see that 13, there is like, just like the story of Jesus Christ, there is the crucifixion. He is going through a crucifixion or sacrifice at the moment. That means he, just like Jesus, died and Judas. So there we have, no, whether in the community, however it is, there is, and it's not about being guilty or not guilty, but there's enough that has happened to have classified this as a crucifixion or a sacrifice right now with the 14-year-old. So that's a death. That 14 represents dead. The word DEAD equals 14. So where 13 people were at the table with Jesus, for instance, there were 13 people so who ate. Of course, Judas hanged himself, and we had Jesus. Now, this is just taking the story in the Bible, because all the stories are really the same, but they are there to teach us about vibrations and events and how they can impact on us, or how to make sense of our own realities, if you like. So that meant there were 11 people left. So 2 out of 13 would be 11 left, which coincides. This is why Jesus, the word Jesus itself, equals 11. So 11 and 11 equals 22, just as 2020. He is 11. He also embodies the other 11. Actually, it's all the 12, but of course we are saying the other one died. So there is the 2, because 11 also is the number 2. So 2 people died. So that meant Judas and Jesus. They both have 5 letters, the number 10. So 10, of course, is the symbol of creation here, or the seeds, one masculine, one's feminine. So with the 0, our starting all over again. It's the end, it's the beginning. Okay, so I believe you are getting that. And so there is the similarity here. So I don't know all about whether who Polight's other 11 disciples are, but he certainly has a lot of disciples, because he's still, people are still protecting him or speaking on his behalf and fighting his case. And just like it will, of course, his followers seem to be even stronger than that of Jesus, because the ones of Jesus, I think, quickly disperse, but these ones here are now speaking very loud on his behalf. So he said, greater works that thou shalt do, so who knows, perhaps MN is doing greater works, so we'll see. Okay, so there, as I said, MN, his DOB is 10. That makes him very intuitive. The month of 8th of August, his birthday is in August, which is a Leo, which means that he is like forever weighing the scales. And of course, his whole date comes to 30, which is the number 3, showing him to be very, very creative. All right. Likewise, now we have Jesus. We don't have Jesus's date of birth, although I could have worked with the 25th of December, which is 7 and 3, and we could just stick with that because we don't know about year. And if we did that as well, 7 meaning 25 of December. December is the 12th month, so that would be 7 plus 3 would be 10. Okay, so there would be a correlation there again. I think I'm doing this right. So December is the 25th is 7 plus 3 is 10. Okay, so he would have that's number 10. Jesus would have 10 as his life path number, which is 1, which would be 1, and that would correlate with MN's first the day of his birthday, which is number 10. Some call it expression number or something number. It's not the expression number. Okay, now there's the other thing now. Who denies, I'm just moving that way, who denies Jesus is Judas. Of course, you could say betray or deny. His numerical value is 10. Then we have Peter, of course, who said, yes, yes, I shall not deny you, but his numerical value is 10. Now, people, all this is really showing, if you have watched my videos before, you will see the correlation again. This 10 plus 10 is 20, just like we had 2020. That 20 denotes death. So this is what we are saying. There's a strong correlation with the number 2, with death, and also harmony, unity. But that means death is going into life. So they are uniting in that way. So, and who would I say here, as I have seen, has denied MD is Sanetta. Sanetta is the one who has the TV and who has been said to be very instrumental in bringing a lot of the unconscious, the unconscious slip of the tongue, or the conscious community. So we have Sanetta. So I did a numerical value for Sanetta. And of course, we have to balance the scale. And so Sanetta also equals 10. So we have Judas equals 10, Peter equals 10, Sanetta. Oh, so we are going to say Sanetta is taken the place of 2 people here. There must be another one, another 10 somewhere that is very close to MN. I'm talking about, or we could say, I prefer to say BP actually, Brother Polight, okay, but because we are using his real name here. Now, I must say that I did not actually add that JR, which I saw at the end in my numbers here, which JR is also 10. So that shows you know, there's a lot of intuition. Now, I have done numerical values that show that he has at least these 2 master numbers as 1111, so meaning he's really working those this numerical vibration. And for a male, it is said that it may be a little bit too much, I'm not sure, but you know, we'll see what's happening here. And perhaps that's what has been part of the challenge in BP, finding himself. It's like there's a text that says that there is no sin that wasn't known to Jesus. Like he took on everybody's sin. That meant if he took on every sin, that meant he would have to have committed, or you know, or have experience or first-hand experience with those sins, because otherwise how can you relate to something that you have not experienced or have not, you know, you can't relate to? That I don't understand. Okay, the other thing that we see that there is another correlation, the correlations here, the alleged crimes of sexual assault, of course, with BP, or MD or MN rather, we have, I did a numerical value for sexual assault, which comes to number 13. That is really the death number. I mean, people, I, I don't just plan it, I just go along with this intuitively. So, sexual is 10, of course, that is what you plant, the seed, and assault is actually 12, which is where let there be light, that comes to 12. So that is 13. Of course, 1 3 is 4. Now we see that that also correlates to his, that's BP's soul urge number. Okay, and his soul urge number is really, he has been doing what he's meant to do, in a sense, teaching people how to be creative, how to look after like their primary need for home, money, finance, and so on, because his soul urge number is 4. So he has been following his quest in this way. Okay, now as his personality number here, we have is 7. So okay, this personality number 7, that could be very arrogant and very, think you know it all, and cut you off here and there and so on. He can, again, I think he carries that reputation. There is a 7 on the on the timer. So of course, having the personality number of 7 here, that coincides again with the word, with Jesus and Christ added together. Jesus is 11, Christ is 32, which is 5, so 3 plus 2 is 7. So we can see that there are correlations with these two people or entities here. Okay. Yeah, another thing that you could say correlates, I'm not quite sure yet if I should use it as that, but there was the 30 pieces of silver for Christ's payment or whatever, which would correlate to some extent with his makeup somewhere, somehow. Perhaps it is with, no, there are 11 letters. Oh, that's another thing. Let's stick to, okay, that correlates. I'm not quite sure, but 30, we have 30 as the whole number of his DOB, which his life path number is 3, and I'm speaking of BP. Okay, so back to sexual assault, which I said was 13. Of course, that correlates with Christ at the table with 13, and that's the number of death. Here again, and of course, what was Christ's crime or alleged crime that he was crucified for? Was he was being blasphemous or blasphemy. So blasphemy equals 38. Now that coincides again, 38. I'm sure my friend has 38 somewhere here. Okay, but that equals 38. 38 coincides with I probably put it up with the set of gods, meaning the last set of gods in Genesis of chapter 2, which is the ended God, the formed God, the caused God, the breathed God, and the planted God. So these gods all added together comes to 38. 3 plus 8 equals 11, which coincides with Jesus again, which coincides with MN as well. All these numerical values of master number 11. 11 also, we could see how even Jesus Christ equals 7. When you do the numerical value for the word 7, it comes to 20. So 20, of course, as we have 11 is 1, 1 is 2. Also that coincides with 2. So 20, of course, as we say, equals death. But of course, Jesus has been risen from the death, or from the dead, or from the grave, and has taken on his title of Christ, which is what I feel that MN as BP is going to do as well. That's part of his journey. So we have occupation. What are their occupation? Debater, teacher, master teacher. Of course, I will make you fishers of men. So as I said before, fishers of men. Of course, BP has explained in his teachings as well. He feels that the divine feminine. He don't see why he should shun in his appreciation for admiring the divine, well, the female. He calls the female, the black female, is God. And of course, I feel perhaps there is a underlying or unconscious intention or unconscious move or whatever it is that has this case going on, a 14-year-old allegedly accused of something so serious. So I think that will really be the God, it's like the teaching itself is going to be self-prophecy. Yeah, and so of course that is for BP. And what about the master teacher, Jesus Christ? He was a master teacher, teaching people on the hills and, performing miracles and so on. And we have the same thing for BP. BP is a debater. He would have debates with people from different, interests or spiritual beliefs and practices. And wasn't that the same with Jesus Christ, always with the Pharisees or the Sadducees or whatever ceases, that he was always having to defend or go away or do something, and that's what has happened in the conscious community. So there is a lot of that as well. Now, okay, so the coinciding with the crime against, going back, so it's just that I do the notes however I do it, and I'm just going to go back with it. So another thing that transpired here, that this unconscious, like an unconscious will or desire to be whole. It may sound like, I don't know how I can make this sound any better, but I think there was someone who said sometimes you see someone do something very catastrophic, is that they are rushing to fast track their evolution. And because BP has this mantra or affirmation that I am the evolution for the revolution, I feel that this is really happening now. Okay. And what was Jesus Christ's affirmation? If you believe, believe, which coincides with 33. The word believe equals 33. And it says, if you believe in the mustard seed, he had a lot of those things. But where they actually correlate as well is that there's that correlation that you could say with BP's seeming intentions for to arrive at that revolution as a spiritual teacher, a mentor, a speaker, motivational speaker as well. All of those things is that, and to get the lesson and to get the essence of those experiences, it's like being fast tracked, as I've said, is that 14, the number 14, which equals 5, is that it's a young fruit. It's considered as a young fruit in our times right now. It's not, we're not talking about any other times, but it's seen as an abomination, according to some man I heard. It's seen as picking the fruit before it is ready. And I feel that that is something that should be taught in, globally, like when people are ready, like the body is actually ready, and that they are not fed with like artificial foods that make them seem like they are ready before their time, like GM foods. So these are all things we need to take in consideration here. And likewise, there was Jesus, of course, being rebellious. So that means they both will be rebellious. They both will, of course, BP did not know his mother before whatever age or whatever it was. And I don't remember much about father, but father was absent for a while. I think was really absent for a while, and so but you had the Jesus, of course, running away at the age of 12, or they couldn't find him, and he's here and there, and so on. So again we are talking numerology. So the number 12 has that kind of vibration that says let there be. There's a demarcation happening here. So of course on the Sabbath, because Jesus was a bit of a rebel, he wanted, of course, he was showing his disciples how to fish, how to do whatever it is. I'll go back to the fish nets as well. So he picked the fig, and it's this story always kind of makes me wonder. I mean, I can see whether a fruit is ready or not, and I would have expected, as a man of great wisdom, he would have should have known that the fruit was not. Anyway, the fig was not ready, and he cursed it. So by cursing again, if he cursed it, we could see that Jesus at that time could say, well, I don't know whether he used a derogatory term to curse it or however he did. I don't clearly remember. He probably didn't have the MF word or the FU word or whatever, or FK, whatever it is, but they actually is showing some kind of correlation or connection here in personality. That is Jesus Christ and BP. Now, Christians who are watching this, please don't crucify me, but when we understand the Christ within us, then we'll understand who we truly are. And he said, greater things you shall do. Meaning, and he said, ye are gods. Haven't you heard in your word you are God? Now you are the word, actually. Jesus said that. He used to speak in parables, yes, but he did say a lot of things that I think is very simple that people should really get. He says, the word is in you, the truth is within you, and all of those things. Okay. So we have known about they both were preachers. They both were preachers. They both would call or condemn other people's beliefs to some extent. This one's the devil, this one is Pharisees, this one is whatever, and so on. Okay, so yes, so speaking about that taste in women, it kind of seemed like the same, because of course, Jesus was, as I said, chatting with the woman by the well, and he would have the one that was the prostitute, I believe, who was supposed to be washing his feet. Of course, all of those things were showing his disciples, I will show you how to be fishers of men. So, fishnet tights are very indicative of being fishers of men. We see everything like if a man has his Rolls Royce or car, whatever it is, it's like having the woman, until the woman with the fishnet tights is not resting against it, it hasn't had any sexiness about it, until this woman is not, it's the fishnet tights. And so this is about also for another man to see, look at the big fish that I've had, anyway. I think you get it. Yes. Make you fishers of men. So again, BP has 4 wives, and we could say the 4 gospels have become Jesus Christ's wives, which are the gospels that are used now to actually birth more fish or birth more people and continue the gospel. Okay, yes. So there was something, I've got a voice for women's liberation in clothing. So it's the sexiness and so on. And of course, Christ did have this thing saying to people, because they caught the prostitute who was, and they asked him, what should we do with her and so on. And he said, he that is without sin cast the first stone. And he knew everyone had sinned because everyone is a sinner. So I hope you find this somewhat enlightening, and because I just felt if I had to do the numerical values while I'm doing this, I would be here till next Christmas. So perhaps. Okay, so please leave your comments. Let me know what you think of this. What I may do, I'll see if I can actually put these side by side so one can actually see the correlation. But of course, I thought a little bit to have that narration, and there was something. There's still so much more I wanted to say, because we have another. So we had 11 letters for Michael Noak. 11 letters. I didn't say that. So Michael is 7 letters and Noak is 4. That's 11. Jesus is 5 letters and for Jesus, and 6 letters for Christ. So that becomes 11 as well. So we can see there is so much correlation, people. Of course, Jesus as well. There's another correlation here. We have that Jesus Christ, as in the soul urge number, for instance, is 8, and the personality number, let's put it this way, is also 8. 8 plus 8 is 16, which correlates a little bit like with China. You have China equals 8, virus equals 8. So those two things came together and boom, now we have a new world, a new start. So that is indicative of what we are saying here. And so, this is, I think that this is it for now. Okay. So let me know your thoughts on this. If there is anything that you think I have missed, and you feel free to leave your comments and let me know. Yes, lovely. Thank you. Bye.